Hi, welcome to episode 425 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea where I sell my knitting patterns and hand-spun yarns. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, May 29th, which here in the United States is the Memorial Day holiday, honoring any soldiers who have fallen during battle. So a bit of a somber holiday here in the States, but interestingly enough, it also ends up being kind of a end of school year kickoff to summer for many, particularly those who have not lost family members. So it's kind of an interesting weekend, 3-day holiday weekend. So many of us are off work today. And I have actually been alone this weekend. My husband went out of town on Thursday. He went to do a bike race a bike ride in Kentucky, riding through the hills of Kentucky. And he said it was hard, but he had a good time. He went with a couple friends and they are due back in just a few hours. And I have been enjoying my alone time. So I actually, I have some things to show you this week. And I have an old whip that I've resurrected and I have a new work in progress. Plus some work on some of the things you've been seeing for the last few weeks. So a few different things to add in. That's about it. So this weekend I have been drinking Strawberry Kiwi tea. It is from Upton. I don't have the packet here with me. I made a pitcher of the Strawberry Kiwi tea on Friday evening, and since then I have been indulging both as an iced tea, which is lovely, and actually using it a little bit in a mixed drink. I've been spiking it with a little bit of coconut rum, and that is delicious, but that's only for evenings. So mostly I'm just working my way through the pitcher. I also have a variety of other really great fruit iced teas for summer, and I'm very excited to brew them up in pitchers. I like having a pitcher of iced tea in the fridge during the summer months. It's really nice. And now that I've discovered that I can sort of turn them into cocktails too, that is nice as well. So again, I'm drinking Strawberry Kiwi tea. It is from Upton. I did buy it several years ago, so I don't know if they still have it in stock. If it is still in stock, it will be linked in the show notes. If not, I will just place a link to Upton teas. I do also have a I have a strawberry basil iced tea from Republic of Tea in the cupboard, and I also have a some kind of sangria, and I can't remember what the fruit is, but I'm gonna try both of those by spiking them a little bit. So that is what I'm drinking today. So let's start about the projects you have seen the most recently, and I'll go through them rather quickly. If you want more details, you can check out the blog, or you can check out the last couple episodes, because I have gone in depth on these. Oops, straws in the way. I have gone in depth about the last couple of. I've gone in depth about these projects in the last couple of episodes, so I don't want to spend too much time on them. So I am test knitting a cardigan for Vanessa Smith. It is called the Little Nydia cardigan, based on others of the same name, Nydia, N-Y-D-I-A. All of those are linked in the show notes. And I have been working on a cardigan for Roxy, who is about to turn 10 this fall, which means it is roughly a people-sized cardigan. They are no longer in very small knits that work up in, just a few nights. So I've been knitting the 10 to 12 size, and I am using a DK yarn, which is Malabrigo Rios, and I don't have a ton of progress to show you. Last week I showed you that I had finished with the body, and I went through and did one sleeve this week. I need to do the other sleeve and the 2 button bands, and then I am done, which means I hope I am going to be done by the next time I come to you next Monday, at least with the knitting, if not the blocking as well. The buttons also came this week. Let me pull these out. Sorry for the mess. I have so much stuff on my desk to show you. I chose buttons from Twin Mountain Handcrafts. And they are, they have their own website. They're not on Etsy. And they have a variety of buttons that they make. Most of them are resin. I think there might have been a few wood. I can't remember, but most of them are resin. And what I went ahead and selected are some buttons in a champagne colorway. So it's a little hard to tell because the color is reflective, but I think they're going to be great against the sweater. Now, let me see if I can, this is really hard to show you, but I think they're going to be great against the sweater. They are, you know, a little light and a little reflective and shiny, so they won't exactly fade into the cardigan, but I do think that they're going to be okay, and I think they'll just be a lovely finish. Very plain, yeah, so I'll be adding those once I add the button bands, and like I said, hopefully that will be this week. I haven't gotten as much done on my whips because I sort of took the weekend to, I called it my WTF weekend, standing for whatever the F I wanted to knit. So I took a weekend to just work on whatever brought me joy rather than the projects I have in progress or the knits that I am obligated to finish. I just picked out a few things that I really, really wanted to do this weekend and worked on them, and I'll be showing them to you shortly, which is not to say I don't want to knit these, but I picked what I was in the mood for this weekend rather than sort of what's in progress and continuing on my projects. So I did finish the sleeve this week, and I will go ahead and add the second sleeve, and then literally, like I said, all I have left are the button bands. The one thing that I did on this sleeve, and I'm hoping it's not going to come back and give me trouble, is I meant to alternate skeins on this sleeve, and I ended up knitting it all in one ball. I was like maybe here when I realized that I had forgotten to add in another ball and alternate the way I did it on the body, and I don't think, I've laid it in the sun and I don't think it looks too bad because the yarn is kind of a subtle variegate anyway, and so it has parts where it is lighter and darker. I do know that there's a chunk at the bottom that appears a little bit lighter than the rest, but there are some light parts throughout the sweater, so I think it's going to be okay. I am most likely going to alternate on the next one, on the other sleeve, just because I don't have enough of this ball to finish the other sleeve without using a little bit of something else in it, and I don't want to get into trouble with that, but I do think that I'm kind of okay. There's a little bit of pooling from the skeins. Malabrigo kettle dyes their skeins, so it's kind of wherever the skein is in the kettle, and I don't know how big their batches are, but these were all from the same dye lot, so I am hoping that I will be fine. So yeah. It's a top-down raglan cardigan, and like I said, I'm almost done, and if you want more details, like more details than I'm giving here, check the last episode, because I know the last couple of episodes I have gone into great detail on this one. So I'm pleased with that, have some more work to do, but the end is in sight. The second project that I worked on this week, which will also be familiar to those of you who are regular viewers and the last couple episodes, is Around Every Corner by Stephanie Lotvin, who is Telly Bean Knits. And this is a garter shawl that looks a little bit like a log cabin square, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. And I am knitting this as a sample for Zen Yarn Garden, and of course I have no cards with me today. I am knitting it in 2 skeins of yarn from Zen Yarn Garden. One is it's right in here. One is a neutral on their superfine glitter base, which is a fingering base. It is 90% superwash merino and 10% stellina. So that is what I have here. Sorry, it's superfine, not superwash. And you can actually see a little bit of the glimmer in there. And then I am also using a gradient, sock blank dyed, and this is the superfine fingering. This is in, this is the superfine glitter. It is the same base as the other, but it's in a different put up. This is 170 grams and 680 yards, and I will not use all of it, but basically this is a little more than half the gradient blank. So you can see it has lots of teals and royal blues, purples, and yellows. And I am just getting into the yellows on the other side, which means I have gotten fairly far in here. I've added several stripes since we last talked. Like I said, this is a garter stitch shawl, and then it has the gradient in it, and you can see that I have gotten through the purple and that I am starting into the yellow section. I have, I believe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stripes, and I think I'm going to go till 10. We'll have to see how far I get. And then there is a white section at the end of the shawl. This, again, is all in garter stitch. It's a simple triangular shape, and then it's just a little bit of in Tarja here. The original shawl was knit with gradient skeins, whereas I'm using one big long gradient, so I'm not breaking my yarn each time. That's probably the only like interesting thing that I am doing, is I am carrying my yarn along, sorry, down here. I am carrying my yarn along when I make the change in colorways. So I just have little sections where I carry along the gradient yarn for the stitches that it takes to get over to where the next stripe is. So I'm just going to continue on this one. I don't think this one will be finished this week. I would love to, but my priority is getting that sweater done, and then I will finish this one the following week. So you should see more progress in this one. Hopefully I'll be in the white section by next time. I'll get through a few more stripes. I just don't know that I'll get through the entire thing, but who knows? We'll just see what my knitting time looks like this week. And yeah, so I'm very pleased with this one. It's coming out really beautifully, and I know the first couple stripes, it feels like there isn't a lot of variation in there, but in person there's a little bit of variation, and then of course when I get down into the purple and yellow there's lots. So my plan is to hopefully work and get about halfway through this area here, just so that I get about halfway through the gradient. And so my guess is I'll go till I get to about here, which is probably 2 or 3 more stripes. We'll see how it goes. So, and I am making some modifications to enlarge this. The original only had 6 stripes, and so there will be notes on my project page on what I did to enlarge it. However, I will be taking care with my notes not to give away the pattern. So you will definitely need to buy her pattern, and then with my modifications you can just add a few extra stripes. If you're crafty, I'm sure you can figure out how I'm doing it already. I'm just kind of repeating the process that you already repeat, but I will add in some notes and stitch counts and those kinds of things, just so that if you have the pattern you can go ahead and add on to it and make it bigger if you wish. So, and this will likely be a kit from Zen Yarn Garden debuting this summer. Again, I just need to finish knitting and get it off to the photographer. So let's talk about the couple other things that I have been working on this weekend, because this has kind of been a little bit of whatever the you-know-what I want to work on this weekend. So the first thing, I'm going to go in reverse order a little bit because I have one more thing that's a whip. And this is actually my oldest whip. I started this project in 2017. And I have made some great progress on it over the years. It was never intended to be a quick project. However, it is the oldest whip, and maybe I want to finish it. I have a friend who loves crocheting blankets and is constantly starting on a new crochet blanket project, and that made me want to pull out my own crochet blanket project. So this is a version of Lucy of Attic 24's Ripple Afghan. Which is just a very simple pattern that creates this ripple pattern. And I decided to make one with my sock scraps and leftovers. So I have been working on this for quite a long time. I was fairly ambitious when I don't know, do you say cast on for crochet projects? I was fairly ambitious when I started it. I made it quite wide, and I measured the width this weekend, and it's approximately 51 inches wide, which is really nice. It's not quite my arm span, but it is a nice, generous length, or width. And then I have been working up, and I went ahead and measured the length this weekend, and I was at almost 3 feet when I picked this back up on Friday. And I do want this to be nice and big so that I can snuggle in it, but my guess is that's not more than 6 feet, which would be 72 inches, and I was at like 31 or 32 inches when I started, so when I started at the beginning of this weekend. So I decided that I want to bring this back out into rotation this year and spend some time on it and maybe even finish it this year. So because 2017 makes it this year would be the 7th year it's been in progress. So maybe we can finish it before another 7 years elapse. So when I left off, I did actually put a marker where I started when I picked it up this weekend. So this is what I have done this weekend. You can see my marker is right here. So I have added in, this is Hedgehog Fibers from the baby sweater I recently finished. This is a little bit of Zen Yarn Garden, and that was from a sweater I knit for them. This is it's not Geeky Girl Yarns. It is when I knit my wow, my V-neck ribbed sweater from Jessie Made Designs. And I don't remember what I used this one for. I think this might have just been a mini that I bought. And so I've gotten, you know, another couple inches in this weekend. My guess is I'm going to put this away again for a little bit while I work on all these other projects I have in progress. But I probably added 3 inches this weekend, which is lovely. And I'm going to continue doing it. So I will show you, well, I'll talk about a couple things. One is, this is what I've got so far. So like I said, it's 51 inches across, and then I've got 3 feet of it. So it's got lots and lots of bright colors in here, and these are all leftover stock yarn scraps. So it's not a super heavyweight blanket, but I think it will still be nice to cuddle under. Again, I I basically made it 51 inches across. I believe what I started with was 283. I chained 283 and picked it up. And so it is a really nice length and width right now. But my plan is to pretty much double the length from here. So you can see that I have some ends hanging out. What I have decided to do is I am aware of creating magic cakes and using the magic knots. And I have a little bit of a trust issue with that those knots will hold. So basically what happens is I go ahead and I knot the yarns together so that I can just go ahead and crochet with them, and then I go back and take a needle and I just run the ends. I just run the ends in, or I can crochet the end in as I go. So that is why you'll see a few ends on here. Most of them have been woven in because every couple inches I stop and I try and weave in all my ends. I think that one was like right at the start of this weekend, and I know I have maybe 1 or 2 more. I know I have like one right over here where I switched to the pink, and I think I have one from the previous switch as well. But that's what I've been doing with my ends. So I do the magic knot, but then I just kind of, I snip the ends kind of short, and then I just weave them in a little bit into my blanket. So that is kind of the method that I'm using. Again, the pattern is, it's a free pattern on Lucy of Attic 24, and if you type it in, you can find it on Ravelry, but you can also, the pattern is available on her blog, and it's available as a blog post. So it's not super complicated. If you're interested in kind of an intro to crochet, this is just double crochet. So it's double crochet, and then up at the top to create the ripple you add a few extra stitches, and then down at the bottom you crochet a few together. And so it's simple enough that at this point, after working on this for 7 years, I can pick it up and put it down and still remember what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not primarily a crochet person, but again, this is simple enough that I kind of have it in my muscle memory. And I think I am using a size D hook. I left the hook out there, but I think I've been using a size D hook for the whole thing. I have it stored in one of those bags that linens and bedding come in, one of those zipper bags, and I have like all my fingering weight scraps in there. And the hook, and then the blanket until recently has been fitting in there, although I think after this weekend I'm gonna have to store the blanket outside. It actually usually lives right behind me on this shelf, so I see it all the time, but that right where the hole is where that bag lives. But my hope is that I'm gonna bring this out more this year and kind of finish this off. I will still have plenty of scraps, but I enjoy doing it. I enjoy picking out sort of what I made with the scraps in here, and it's just kind of a fun project, and I haven't worked on a scrap project for a while. I really, honestly, I pull this out every couple years, usually around the holidays, and work on it for a little bit, and then kind of not forget about it, but just go back to other things. And I must go back to other things this week, but I've been having fun with this one. So the big thing that I worked on this weekend is a new summer top, and I did talk to you about that last week. I said that that's what I wanted to do. I am knitting with my friend Christine's new yarn, which is a bamboo linen blend, and I brought all the skeins today. This is a 70% bamboo, 30% linen, fingering weight, 400 meters, 437 yards, 100 grams, hand wash, cool water, steam block. And this is Treasure Goddess Yarns, and I think she called it Bamboo Linen Treasures. So, and this is in the Coral Reef colorway, which is a really pretty kind of pinky coral, and it does have a few spots of darker pink in it, which I have been having fun with. This is her first foray into vegetable material, non-animal fiber, so the bamboo and the linen, and the colors are really, really stunning, and I've been having a good time knitting with this. It's interesting because it says hand wash, cool water, steam block. I might actually experiment with sticking it in the washer. Again, do as I say, not as I do. Follow the instructions on the label. That said, linen tends to soften up over time and is really good with washing. So I might actually stick it in the washing machine. That was kind of my plan. Because while it feels nice to knit with, it still is very crisp, and I am very excited to get it to soften up and wear in a little better, and linen is known for that over time. Like, the more you wash it and wear it, the better, the softer and more drapey it becomes. So I chose to knit the Este, which is E-S-T-E. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It is by Justina Lorkowska, who is Letty's Knits, and I have a link to that. She has the pattern available on her website, so there is a link in the show notes. It is, she knit hers in a merino linen blend. So hers drapes differently than mine will, and it also is less sheer than mine will be, but I think this actually is a really nice choice for this yarn. So I cast on Friday afternoon, and I have been working on it through today, and I am not going to be done. I'm certainly not going to finish this weekend, but I have made some really good progress. So here is where I'm at. I'm going to show you this right now, and then we'll talk about this a little bit. So the construction of this one is actually really, really interesting. Did I do that right? No, actually I showed you the back. So let me try again. I believe this is the front piece, and there is a slight difference. I'll explain in a minute. So this is kind of the top thus far. And yeah, that looks better. Okay, so you start, this piece is mostly knit in the round except for a small section. So what you do is you cast on for the top in the round, and you cast on basically to create these panels, which are going to be over the shoulder here. And so what you are doing is you are knitting in the round using basically a contiguous sleeve method and creating sort of the top part of your yoke here. And that is going to kind of fold over your shoulders. And then once you have completed as far as you've gotten, as far as you need to go in the lace pattern, then basically what you do is you knit the front and the back separated. So for a little while you're working on the front part, and then you're working on the back part separately, and then you join them again to knit in the round. And the reason I know this is the front is because for the first little bit, you're knitting back and forth and creating a little bit of shaping here, and then eventually you cast on for your front stitches. So that's the way I know that there is a front and back, because it is a little bit higher at the back neck than it is at the front neck. This neck is very wide, however it will be getting a ribbing treatment, so I'm not too concerned about that. Yes, it does look very wide and open, but again, I will be ribbing it. There also are, I believe, just a little bit of subtle, I don't know that there's that much in the way of sleeve cap shaping, but I do know that the sleeves will get a finishing treatment as well, which is why this set of stitches from the shoulder is on hold. They will be a little bit longer. It's not really, it doesn't really have sleeves. I might get just a little bit more, so it kind of goes down to here, because it is wide across the top. Like, if you added sleeves, they would basically be drop shoulder sleeves. And then basically the rest of the body is in stockinette. There is a little bit of a high-low hem, and with just some subtle short row shaping, and then there's ribbing down at the bottom. So basically I am just working my way through the body. I have done several inches since I have done 3 or 4 inches since I joined back in the round, and that will be my project basically for the rest of today, is that I'm going to work on this one and see how much further I can get before I kind of go back to my my regular knits for this week, and I'll still be trying to fit this one in. I would absolutely love if I could finish this week, because the yarn dyer is throwing a party at her house on Saturday, and if I could wear it there, that would be lovely. I do not know if that will happen, because my main priority is kind of getting back to my whips. This was kind of my weekend fun, and now I need to kind of settle down and do the work that I'm supposed to do. However, once I finish the 2 current projects, Roxy's sweater and that shawl, my plan is to to put in some time on this and finish this so I can wear it this summer before I cast on my next projects in my queue and my sample queue. So this will get done in the next week or two. I'm just not sure exactly how quickly it will get done. I also don't have a chicken to knit this week, so I will have some extra knitting time. So I should have some exciting things to show you in the next couple weeks. But yes, I'm very excited about this. I will say I haven't really made a ton of modifications to the pattern. I did a gauge swatch, and I came out not quite on gauge. And I think I showed this to you last week. This has been folded in my bag all week. And so this is my gauge swatch. And what I liked about this is it is a little bit sheer for me. And I was not quite right on gauge. I was actually a little bit bigger, so I would have had to drop another needle size. My problem is that I want this top to be drapey and I want it to have a certain texture to it. And what I don't want is for it to be knit almost bulletproof and then feel stiff and not feel good to the touch. So I decided to go ahead and go with this gauge, and based on the gauge I could knit one size smaller and basically end up with the approximate same bust that I was supposed to end up with for my size. So I went down a size in the pattern, so I'm knitting a small rather than a medium, which is what I would usually do, and I think I'm going to end up with about the same ease. And then the only thing that I have been using is where it says knit to approximately this length. I've been using the medium size so that I know that like the armhole is going to be deep enough for me, and that the length from the end of the armhole down to the waist is where I want it to be. So that's what I've been doing. That does mean that my top is going to be a little sheer. As you can see here, it's a little bit see-through. My plan is either to wear a camisole underneath it, or I will experiment with a flesh-colored bra and see if that will be enough to not be hideously see-through. And if I need to wear a camisole underneath, that is fine. I have both a white and a black one, so I think I can make those work for summer wear. I am really excited to wear this. It's lightweight. It feels good. This swatch has only been washed once, but it has kind of been in and out of the bag and a little crinkly. And as I said, linen softens up over time, and this is definitely getting softer. I would not say that this yarn isn't soft. It's definitely crisper than working with animal fibers. And it does have a little bit of... There's a little bit of plant matter in it. I mean, like, I just don't know how to explain it. You can see that it's like a little fuzzy, and it's got a little bit of kind of both the bamboo and the linen in there, and both are plant fibers. So it stands to reason that they would be a little bit more, vegetable-y? I don't know how to explain it. So the yarn is a little bit stiffer to work with, but I think it's going to soften up really nicely, and I won't have any issues wearing it next to my skin. That is not an issue in the way that scratchy wool can be a little bit of an issue. This is just it hasn't been washed and crinkled and worn and softened, and I think it's just going to get nicer and nicer and nicer over time, which is exactly what plant fibers do. So, and I am excited that she's having a yarn party at her house, because I might buy some more. I really have liked working with this, and I'm very excited about it. So this is what's left of my first cake. I have a second cake that I wound. I am currently at the point, oh, I should talk about that. I somewhat intentionally, decided not to alternate on this sweater. Probably not in my best interests. However, because of the construction, up at the top I was doing some short rows. I was trying to figure out the shaping and the lace, and I just decided that I did not want to alternate balls until things got a little bit easier. And then I was working front and back, which meant I would have had to cut for both the front and the back each time to put all those balls of yarn in, and it was just going to be a lot of ends to weave in, and I just decided I was going to take my chances in using different skeins at different spots. However, as I am transitioning between the skeins, I am doing a one round with one and one round with the other, so I am going to have kind of a gentle transition section here just in case they are different. I do not think they are different. I suspect they were dyed at a similar time. They were all dyed by one dyer. I know she did some really big batches, but I'm assuming that mine came from the same batch because she's pretty good about that. And so actually, if I looked at the tags, I think the tags have batches. maybe. Yeah, she does have, yeah. She has dye lots, and they are the same dye lot. So all 3 skeins. I don't know that I'm going to need the 3rd skein, which is kind of cool. I think it's because I have a slightly different fiber. I'm knitting at a slightly different gauge, so it's not quite working out to the yardage in the pattern, but we shall see. I only say that because I've gotten most of this out of the first ball I've only taken to adding in the second ball for the last inch or 2. So I just think that I'm probably going to get through this in 2. I might have to break into the 3rd for the trim. I did buy 3 because the yardage on it calls for about 1,000 yards, and I only had about 850 with 2 skeins. So we'll see, but I am optimistic, and that is my new summer tea. So I'm very excited about this, and the weather has been lovely this weekend. It's been in the 70s and 80s, and I'm sure that I'm going to get lots and lots of wear out of this summer. So that is kind of all the knitting that's fit to print, and I'm already at 30 minutes. I will talk to you very briefly about spinning because there isn't a ton to show, and then I will let you go. So I have been spinning a braid from a new to me club from Northbound Knitting. It was 80% Polworth, 20% Tussa Silk, I believe, and the colorway was Pansy. And it was a very white braid with lots of splotches of color, some blue and some rust and some pink, but lots of white areas in between. And this is what the singles have spun up like. I've finished both bobbins. This is 4 ounces approximately of fiber, and now they need to be plied together. I did not ply them together. I thought actually about working on it this morning, but I decided that I wanted to finish up working on the projects that I really wanted to work on, and that I would get back to normal starting tomorrow. So this will likely be plied at knit night on Wednesday, and then it will be available later in the week, or I'll have it to show you next week. It does mean that I will have time to start a new spin this week though, so I did bring some more fiber. This is a braid that I bought at this year's Ply Away, which was just a few weeks ago. It was in, well, I guess it was almost a month ago. It was April. My, how the time flies. It was the end of April, so it's about a month ago now, but I wanted to go ahead and delve in. This is a braid from Apothecary Fabrications. I have knit, actually, not this sweater, I have knit a couple sweaters out of her yarn, 1 sweater out of her yarn, and I have spun tons. This is Montana Corriedale hand-dyed fiber, and it does not have a colorway, but it is this gorgeous kind of grays and blues. And I originally bought this because I wanted to make socks for myself, but one of the things that I did while I was home this weekend is I did lots and lots and lots of laundry, and I did all of my hand-spun socks, which I had worn throughout the winter, and some of which I had not washed recently, and my sock drawer overfloweth. Like, I don't know that I can get another pair of socks in there, and I am just not wearing through my socks that much, because I only had to toss a pair or 2, and that was just because they were knit so long ago that it was thin in so many parts that it wasn't worth it to, I mean, it wasn't like I just busted through a heel and I could replace the heel. It was like I busted through the heel, and then there was a thin part on the ball of my foot, and then there was another thin part at the very end where the seam was, where my toe came together, and I would have had to replace like the entire foot on the sock. And I just thought, you know what, sometimes things wear out. It's been 10 or 12 years, it's okay. So I decided that this skein will be for the shop. So this is a, like I said, a Montana Corriedale. I really love Corriedale for socks because it is kind of rough enough to be sort of a boot sock or an around the house sock, but it is not, it's not super itchy. Like, I find Shetland and some of the more hardy fibers a little bit itchy around my ankles. I know, I'm a princess, but so that is what I have going on the wheel this week, and it will go into the shop within the next couple weeks. So if you are interested in some stock yarn, either in some, just in some moody kind of grays and blues and really pretty. So I have heard from a few of you that you are interested in doing a Tour de Fleece team, so I will be getting that underway. I looked, and the tour starts on July 1st, so you have approximately a month to sort of get things together, figure out what you want to spin. I have been pulling some braids for prizes as I've been going through my stash, figuring out what to spin next. So I have some ideas. I will make it official excuse me, as soon as Ravelry allows us to make it official. This started as a Ravelry thing, so it is going to, I have to officially register us on Ravelry. We need to have a chat thread on Ravelry, but however, I have taken the event further. So we do have a Tour de Fleece spinning group on Facebook. I will put a link in the show notes to where you can find that, and also a link in the description of this video. It is an open Facebook group, so please come join us. Or you can just, if you'd like to post on social media on Instagram, you are welcome to do that. I will come up with a tag and I will post the information everywhere. I think it's honestly, I think it's Team CKT, TDF. It might be TDF, Team CK. I'll post it, but it will have TDF, Team CKT, which is the corner of Knit and Tea, and the year. So it will be 2023. So it will be some combination order of those. If you want to post pictures or join us in the chat, you can do that on Facebook. You can post on Instagram. You can post on Ravelry. I will check all three places. And if you would like to be on the team, you do not have to announce it anywhere. You can just go ahead and start joining us there. If you would like to be on the team, but you don't social media, go ahead and email me. Let me know you'd like to be on the team. You can get me at the corner of knit and tea at gmail.com. And if you send me an email there, you can send me progress photos if you want. There's no official, like, join the team. If you say you're on the team and you spin, great. The Tour de Fleece is what you make of it. My only rule is that you kind of have to join in someplace and post some pictures if you want to be included in the prize draw. And I will include people who email me in that, but you have to, like, tell me you're on the team and show me a picture of what you're spinning if you want to be included in the prize draws. Generally what I do is I do 3 or 4 prize draws throughout the 3 weeks of the tour, like 1 a week, and that is participation. So that is if you're chatting, if you're showing us spins, etc., if you're cheering on other teammates. And then the final draw is everyone who participated on the team gets 1 chance for kind of the grand prize drawing, and that is after the tour is over. Usually what I do is I ask you to post a picture of all of your finished spins together. Again, you could just email it to me. You can post it on any of the platforms, and everyone who spins for the team will get 1 entry, and then I will draw for that. So obviously the people who are more chatty and who share more and who cheer on team members more get a little bit of an extra weighting in the weekly prize drawings because that's based on people's activity, but the final one, everyone gets kind of an equal chance for that. Spin anything you want, spin on any implement you want, double, triple, quadruple dip, spin on as many teams as you want. You have to follow their rules. I have no rules. Be on the team, share, make the most of it, spin whatever you want, whenever you want, and enjoy the summer Tour de Fleece. So, I wish you well for this coming week. I hope that if you had a day off this weekend that you got to enjoy it, or that you got to spend some extra time being crafty. I hope that your spirits are high, that your health is good, and I will say until I see you next time, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.